Have you ever wondered why we feel the need to appear strong? Why, when someone laughs at us in front of others, the space seems to shrink and the pressure tightens in our chest? And what if you stopped being afraid of being seen exactly as you are? Nietzsche once wrote, "Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music." Maybe that phrase resonates deep within you. Perhaps you never tell anyone, but you feel it. That constant discomfort of measuring every word, avoiding inquisitive glances, trying to convince yourself and others that you're enough. Maybe no one has ever told you, but the most genuinely confident person I've met never raised their voice, never needed to impose themselves. Their confidence was quiet, almost invisible. I remember a scene. While some were laughing at her, she simply smiled and calmly said, "Maybe you're right." And in that moment it was as if time stopped, because in that resistance-free acceptance hid an unshakable strength. Machiavelli spoke about the value of appearing imposing, but there is an even more unsettling strength, that of someone who doesn't need to be right to be at peace. That kind of person can be interrupted, challenged, even ridiculed, and still not lose their center. The night, in its stillness, has the power to show us what we don't want to see. It connects us to the border between rational control and the freedom that longs to be released from judgment. If you stop for a second, you might notice that everything you've been striving so hard to achieve could come when you stop trying. Maybe you're alone with your headphones on, your heart racing, not knowing why. But now, take a deep breath as if this were your first conscious breath in days. Before we continue, let me tell you something. This isn't another motivational speech or a guide to power poses. It's not a technique. It's a call to remember who you were before you felt you had to become someone else in order to be accepted. Perhaps the most powerful thing about someone truly confident is not their hardness, but their tenderness. It's not the loud voice, but the serenity that stands firm while everything around it shakes. And if you stay until the end, I don't promise to teach you something new, but to help you remember something that has always been within you, the melody Nietzsche spoke of. Maybe today you'll finally dare to dance to it. Before we dive fully into this, a confession. Often it's not lack of desire that stops us, but the absence of a clear foundation. Practical philosophy and neuroscience can help you reorganize your thoughts. I'll explain at the end, but for now let's return to the essential. You can feel it. That moment when you fake strength, puffing out your chest, raising your voice, filling the space with gestures you can't control. We call it confidence, but it's nothing more than fear in disguise. I remember once being humiliated in public. My voice shook. My mind scrambled for answers, my body wanted to fight, but instead of defending myself, I stayed silent, and in that silence, I found myself. The ego longs to impose itself, but confidence doesn't need to. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved. But what happens when you seek neither? When you no longer depend on the fear you create or the love you lack? In that void, something rare and powerful is born: real presence. Amy Cuddy discovered that certain postures increase confidence levels, but what they don't tell you is that those who perform confidence the most are often the most insecure. True confidence makes no noise. It doesn't need to justify anything, win arguments, or dominate conversations. I know you want to be acknowledged, to have your pain understood, your effort valued, but let me whisper something to you. Softly, you're trying too hard, and every excessive effort is a confession of doubt. Genuine confidence is not built on shouts or forced laughter. It lives in those who don't need to show anything. It's the calm of someone who can say, "Maybe you're right," without breaking. Someone who listens more than they speak, who isn't afraid to show vulnerability without armor. Do you remember that time Melinda Gates was interrupted in public? She didn't get upset. She responded serenely, "May I ask what makes you think that?" Without getting defensive. That is true strength. If you're tired of trying to fit in, maybe this is the starting point of your liberation. Though freedom is not always comfortable, it strips you bare. It shows you that not everyone will like or understand you, but when you accept that, something changes. You stop trying to stand out and simply become yourself. And then, paradoxically, you shine effortlessly, because real presence is not manufactured. It is born when all your defenses fall. While many fight to prove their confidence, Those who truly have it rest on their authenticity. No masks, no need to win. Close your eyes. Imagine you're in a room full of voices. Some impose themselves, others shout, and in one corner there's someone calm, silent, barely smiling, and you can't help but look at that person. That is presence. It can't be learned, it can't be copied. It emerges when you stop pretending. It's the place where the fear of rejection disappears, where you, without embellishment, without justifications, recognize yourself as enough. Daniel Siegel calls it the integrated mind, where one listens without reacting, speaks without fear, and exists without depending on validation. We live trapped in masks that protect us, but also rob us. Jung called it the conflict between the persona and the authentic self. The mask wants to please. The authentic self wants to be free. But freedom has a price, being willing to be misunderstood. And yes, it hurts. We become experts at calculating everything to avoid being judged, but every time you do that, you drift further from yourself. When you are present, you are not trying to impress, you are simply there, allowing others to be as well. You become a mirror for others' truth, and that connects more deeply than any rehearsed charisma. Studies show the brain detects authenticity in milliseconds. We can't explain it, but we feel it. That's why there are ordinary people who deeply attract us, not because they impress us, but because they don't pretend. Maybe you're tired of pretending too. Maybe you long for that freedom to be without adornments, without performances, without needing to convince anyone. Real presence is that space where anxiety dissolves, and each breath silently affirms, I am here, I am enough. And if you don't know where to start, start by stopping the search. Sometimes the greatest danger is not failing, but getting stuck in appearances. Many want to change their lives without touching the most important thing, their way of thinking. That's why we recorded a video to help you align your mind with your purpose. I'll tell you more in the link at the end. Have you ever felt alone among many? Speaking through 1,000 filters for fear of judgment, only to end up silent? You mold yourself so much you forget who you were. Schopenhauer said that every truth passes through 3 stages: ridicule, opposition, and acceptance, but he didn't mention the pain of living between the first and the second.